With so much of the family's attention on their loved one's care, the family members themselves often suffer. They allow themselves to become emotionally and physically exhausted, and they may neglect their own social activities and even not eat properly. They become depressed. This is how the families are left behind in the wake of a loved one's illness. The work a family member must do for a loved one is one thing. The pain they must endure is another.
It's the guy here that stays at home, that's taking the beating. And that's the guy that you got to be concerned with. Because the patient is oblivious to a lot of things.
It's easy to just turn around and walk away from it. And believe me, I did a couple times.
But it's the heartbreak for the guy for the person that has to live with it. Because it just completely changes things, you know, life is no longer life.
Take care of yourself. Try not to fold up under stress or depression. I ended up in the hospital in a very depressed state. If you feel like you're depressed, go take care of it. See a doctor. Make sure that you eat, make sure that you sleep, you know, and that you get out a little bit.
Humor is a great thing. I love humor, so I have to find a reason to laugh. You have to take time for yourself. You have to give yourself simple little pleasures and treats. You know, chocolate works well for me.
When I walk her up to the park. And I stop and I look at her and she looks very content. You have to take that and run with it. You're not going to make it in big leaps and bounds. You're going to do it in small baby steps.
I would love it when I go to visit if he would just even say my name. For a while he called me wife, but he's never called me Barbara. He just don't recognize the kids, and that breaks my heart. That's about the most emotional thing. When I go to see him, I never know what I'm going to run into. One day he might be sitting up in a chair dressed, and the next day he will not even get out of bed. He'll stay there all day long.
You always expect miracles, wonders. So you take every little, what you call a success, and take it as a success. I mean, if it's just a small thing.
But the family has got to realize that they're no longer dealing with the person that they knew. You know, and they just have to accept it and do the best with it.
You know, I just know my Bob is gone.
Acceptance is really a very difficult thing when you experience something like this. And everybody's not going to accept at the same time or the same pace, so you kind of have to work with each other on that.
I had a great support system with my children and with my own family relatives and Norm's family. They were just great. They were there anytime I needed them, and they were there sometimes when I didn't need them, you know, go home.
Life is never the same after a loved one's illness. My father was diagnosed when he was 55 years old. I'm an only child, and all of his care fell onto my shoulders. From the moment he became ill, I looked at everything in life differently. Now that he's gone, I can finally see how caring for him changed my life. I met the man who would become my husband while caring for my father. We've been married for 13 years and have 3 children. My father never knew it, but he gave me a gift by teaching me to love without expecting anything in return. His legacy is my family.
You have to take into account your parent and loved one have lived a good life. Your parents come to this age with great faith. They've made decisions. They've buried their loved ones, their siblings, their parents. Even my mom, laying in bed, said, "Joe, I'm ready." The sad thing is, I'm not. I don't know what you go through physically, but for a moment, a second, it seems like an eternity, the physical being is gone. That happened with me. I'm sitting talking to Mom, and Mom's coming with these revelations, you know. Joe, don't feel bad, I'm ready. I want to see my mother, my father, I want to see my husband, I want to see my brothers, and I know they're waiting, you know, and it's hard, and it's something just takes your heart and just wrings it right out, and you just say, "You're not. I don't want you to go, Ma." But you hear yourself saying that when you just sit by yourself and think for a moment, I'm being selfish. I'm being real selfish. This person is tired. They're beaten up for your sake, and I believe it's just for your sake only. They try, and they try. And it's time. They put in a hard life, they've loved you, they've sacrificed for you, and even in the state they're in, on oxygen, needles in their arm, being fed by a tube, they're still hanging on because you're unwilling to let go. Let them go. Be happy with their acceptance of it. Learn from it. Life is great. And if you can let them have peace of mind that you're at peace with it. You're at peace with their faith. It doesn't have to be your faith. It's their faith, and that's what's important. Let them go into that next life content and put a smile on your face. That's what life is.